Hello, everyone, to Grandma's Only. And hope you're all having a fantastic day. This is a beautiful Sunday, spring forward. So we all had to kind of get up with a little less sleep. Before we start today, we are going to talk about Grandma's intuition. We are going to be putting on in tune. Intuition, in tune. Yep. You're beginning to feel it. It's an electrical thing, right? Okay. So Intune is made of the most precious oils on the planet: frankincense, ylang ylang, sandalwood. How's that? How about a little Roman chamomile? Patchouli. Patchouli is just the most divine scent ever. And if you are a grandma, you came out of the 60s and you are well familiar with that scent. And they have lime in here. Now, it has been a proprietary blend so that we can reach our highest intuitive self. Okay? It's blended for calming and balancing. And I think it is very suggestive of the opening of our intuition. I like to apply it places that are just closer to that center of our limbic system, which is inside our head. So we can put it on our temples, and I can put it on the back, which is we've got a whole brain stem going on back here, which, and of course, essential oils go right into your brain, crossing the blood-brain barrier. They not only do bring the calm and the balance, which is what a lot of professionals, like in stressful jobs such as ERs and surgeries, and if we have law enforcement, they use this. They keep it on their shelf or in their pocket. Men particularly like it because of the sandalwood and the frankincense and the patchouli. Some of those are more of a smoky blend, and the men like that very much, in fact. So I'm using that. And this is part of our inheritance we leave behind to our children. And I like to say it this way: grandmas have always been known for their wisdom. They would call it a folklore, or, some sort of wisdom from the past. And we would say it might be about herbs. And we know how to make that special tea. Mm-hmm. Well, today's 21st century grandma can take that herb and put it on steroids and hand that to our family and say, this is grandma's wisdom right here. You use this and your body will thank you. Your mind will thank you. And your very spiritual energy body will thank you. And that the family needs grandma to say it's all right sometimes. I was reminded of that today when someone reminded me of a story when one of the grandkids was trying to nurse, and it was very difficult for them. And they didn't want to disappoint people. They didn't want to disappoint themselves. And they didn't want to disappoint their mom and their grandparents and other people who really liked and believed in breastfeeding. And then grandma came along and said, hey, it's okay. Just give it up. Walk away. Pick up the bottle and don't think about it ever again. Just do what you can do, which is best for you and this child. And it won't be the end of the world for them. Lots of people in this world have not been breastfed. Well, that just took, I didn't know it at the time, but it took a huge burden off of this grandchild. And so that's what grandmas do. We are able to relieve the burden. We can help someone carry. And in this case, when we give them permission to use this instead of what the doctors are recommending, just use this as our first line of defense. Give it a chance. And that's what we tell them, just like we would take that peppermint tea and use it for our digestion before we reached into the cupboard to get whatever happened to be there. So now we're just showing them a new upgrade, a huge, huge upgrade on the herbal wisdom of grandparenting. All right, today I wanted to talk a little bit about intuition. And I'm going to use a few of my notes here because I don't want to leave anything out. Okay, is that good for you? But I woke up this morning and I had two intuitive things happen. Number one was I love to follow different coaches. I believe in coaching. I believe that just having someone in your life that can help you see more clearly, and that some people are very intuitive about who you are. So they're seeing things that perhaps you don't see so well because you're too close to yourself. And I was reading one of my coaches, and the coach had some really wonderful things to say. And she was right on. And she was just saying this and this, and this is true of you. And bingo, bingo, bingo. And she doesn't know me on a personal basis. It's just through the internet. And it's completely outside of any personal contact at all. So what she was saying, she was getting completely intuitively from her inner self to me. But the most important thing she said was, of course, we have, say you have 10 positive things that you do every day, but you have one thing you worry about, and it's always the negative thing, right? And so that one thing that I feel insecure about, she named it. Bang, right on. So not only did it raise my confidence in her, it raised my confidence in myself to say, all right, I knew these 10 things. I knew that one thing. And if I know those things, what else do I know? What else is there? And it's all stored up in your heart. Out of your heart flow the issues of life. You have abundant knowing, and it's all right here. I love that. Okay, the second thing that happened this morning was, and through the years, the last 20 so years, my hubby has had a few little issues with his heart, and we've doctored for it, and we've also done the essential oils, and I use a lot of affirmations and prayers, and we've seen improvements, and we've seen him living a nice, wonderful, healthy life, and enjoying his life, and filled with happiness, and that's really the key, right? And but we had a little issue, and it caused me to wonder, well, a few years back we'd had someone say a phrase over my husband, and the phrase was, you have a good heart. And I used to include that in my affirmation and my prayer time, and it would help my own heart to be filled with a very wonderful, loving, kind feelings about his heart. And so we were watching a movie today, and almost the last line in the movie was, you have a good heart. But that wasn't all they said. They said, Mark, you have a good heart. And my husband's name is Mark. And the way it was said over him 10 years ago was with his name, Mark. And the way I said it in my affirmation was always, Mark, you have a good heart. So this was like another huge encouragement to me that intuitively I'd begun doing the right thing and kind of left off a little bit, forgotten really, and that and it had been reminded, and I was going back to it, and God was sending this message to me is, you're on track. Keep going. Now, what is intuition? Well, it is a feeling. Basically, it's something, it could be numbers that you see all the time and all of that, but your intuition is the fact that you know that that means something. That has come to you as a message from God, a message from the divine mind to clue you in on hidden wisdom, hidden things that are mysteries to most people. Will it be common sense? Yeah, not most of the time. Most of the time it kind of goes against the grain, I find, which is why it's sometimes difficult for us to receive it. Well, that can't possibly be so. But if we do receive it, you'll see that your miracle is in the making. It's right in front of your eyes. I think following intuition is when you know, for instance, in our family, we had 5 children, and some of them were college bound. Others struggled with college, and when they first had graduated from high school, and the intuition, the inner part of me was saying, let them go their way, let them alone, let them do this or do that, let them. The common sense in the world everyone around you is saying they need this right now. Need to go to college right now. Don't let them do this. They'll never go back. There was just a lot of words out there. Now, I'm not going to say I did this all right, but I do remember that those feelings were with me that whole entire time. And I made a compromise out of it where I said, a year, give me a year of your time at school, and then you can decide what you want to do. And, it wasn't a bad thing to do. And I don't think that it hurt anybody. But intuitively, I was trying to make a deal with God's wisdom. Yeah. So, and we learn. That's how we learn. That's how I learned. That's how I learned when I'm living someplace and God says it's time for you to move. When I get that feeling, I can't undo the feeling. Yeah, it just doesn't. And I've learned to trust it now. So I learned to fall back onto it. And so when I might spend a long time looking, and I just fill my time doing what I think I should do until I know what I am doing, kind of thing. And so I find that in that time, the most perfect house became available. It was bigger and better than my imagination could ever have imagined, ever. And so that has also been a key to me, that most of the time, what our intuition is showing us is something that we can't imagine yet. Our imagination isn't there yet. So it requires that we trust. That's why it's trust your heart. Trust your heart, because out of it are flowing the issues of life. We can trust it. We just have to let go of all those doubts sometimes. And meditation has taught me so much about letting things come and flow and rise like air balloons. But they got to go. Some of them have to go. And even the ones that stay, even the ones that are part of me, they just continue to be what they are. You see, they just continue and they get bigger and better and more beautiful. And the dream expands itself. I heard someone say the other day, and I just want to pass this on to you. When you are wanting to see something change in your life, you're not particularly sure how it should change, but you just know that this situation needs to change. That when you quiet yourself, then you allow yourself in that quiet space to see those words, even this changes into something beautiful, this, and then put it in the present tense. This has changed into something beautiful. This is beautiful. You see that we go from it needs to it has, which is a more past tense thing. It is present tense. It is this. Now, with those words in our mind, we can see with the only imagination we have, right? We not be able to see that situation exactly as it's going to come out. But what we can see is a representation of that situation coming out. It might be like a cloud, or it might be just sparklies or something. But we see something in our minds that represents the fulfillment and the present condition as it is now. And it could be anything. It could be fluff. It could be flowers. It could be whatever your mind attaches to that phrase, that certainty, that present state of being. And then we take that and we see it just filling us. There's a phrase in the Old Testament that says, the train of his glory fills the temple. And then New Testament, we learn you and I are the temple. The train of his glory fills the temple. This container, it's just a container, and it's filled with you and I and God. We are one. We are one. And so when we are seeing these sparklies coming in, and it's this beautiful phrase, this is the new condition. This is the new condition. And it's one with us. And it begins to show up in our world. Now we get to pass this beautiful wisdom onto our family. You do it first by believing it yourself. Apply it to yourself. Use it every day in your life. Use it in your closet where no one else knows that you are. But as you pull these people into your light and wisdom of oils, your light and wisdom of intuition, your light and wisdom of knowing, you change their energy body, their spiritual life, and their physical being forever. So grandmas rule. Go for it. Till next time. Bye-bye.